Welcome to Walk Me. So we've had our first 3 days. Hello. Cheese.
Cheese. Hook.
So we left Inverness. Last time we caught up, we were at Shannonry Point. And spoiler alert, we didn't see any dolphins. We were there at the wrong time. Apparently the time to be there is an hour after low tide because the tides shift and the dolphins come up the firth to be able to catch all the fish that are going out with the tide, in with the tide. But we didn't see any dolphins, but it was beautiful. We then drove from Shannonry Point up to Brora. On the way, we went to Glenmorangie distillery. And saw their new lighthouse, which is Dr. Bill Lumsden's new playground, basically, where he gets to create whatever he wants, however he wants, in his own little private still room, which is quite exciting. There should be some interesting things coming out of Glenmorangie soon. We had a bit of an explore around the Black Isle and then went to Tain. Then had dinner in platform 1896. Platform something or other. That was a good burger. I was happy with that. And then went to Glenmo and then drove up to Brora and stayed in a great spot, actually. Oh, there's a big old plane coming over. Sorry, I think that probably would have been a bit noisy. So yeah, we went to stay in this. Essentially, it's not a campsite, and it's not really a car park, but it's a car park for camping, really, isn't it? It's been sort of specifically set aside. Park Up, Brora Park Up, which was great. It was fairly flat. It was next to a river. It was very pretty. It was empty.
Easy walk.
Good spot.
Into town.
Walked into town. About 10 minutes to go and use the public loos. Down a lovely little lane that followed the Brora River. Isla has been struggling to fall asleep throughout this trip so far, which has made evenings a little bit interesting. It means we haven't had quite as much time in the evenings just to sit and relax as we might like. But still, it's been lovely. Then from there, we went on a beautiful walk up the Big Burn to go and see a waterfall. From there, we went to the Clynelish distillery and had a look in at Brora distillery. So, Brora distillery, newly reopened, £300 per person to do a tour. Decided not to do that, so went to Clynelish and filled up my own bottle. Love Clynelish. Got a few bottles from the trip so far, so if you'd like to see kind of round up of the whiskey bits of the tour so far, let me know, because I think that'll be fun. Just me sitting and drinking and trying whiskey and telling you what I bought. From Brora, where did we go? Yeah, basically from Brora we went all the way up the east coast, went through Wick, passed by the Old Pulteney distillery. My navigation of Scotland is largely based on the distilleries, which, given that I used to write about whiskey, is probably not that surprising. But yeah, Wick was surprisingly big. And then carried on up the east coast until we got up to John O'Groats. And we went and saw the signpost, went and had a look and planned our next day's activities. That northeast tip is really interesting because in a lot of ways, it's a lot more populated and a lot easier to navigate than the west coast. in other ways, because it is so flat and wide and the roads are very straight, it feels a lot more sort of desolate and bleak. But in the sunshine we've had, it looked absolutely gorgeous. It was fantastic. But it is, my mother-in-law regularly says, whenever we think about Scotland, she always says, oh, it's very bleak, there are no trees. And I would fundamentally disagree with her in almost every area of Scotland. But the northeast absolutely is that. It is just, it's flat, it's beautiful in its own way, but it's flat and there aren't a lot of trees. John O'Groats, definitely nicer than Land's End. We did Land's End a few years ago, and that's just a commercialised hellhole. You even have to pay to have your photograph taken by the official signpost. Whereas this one, it was lovely, and there was a nice bakery and some nice shops, and the signpost was lovely. Then we went to campsites, a Windhaven campsite B&B cafe, so we stayed there for 2 nights. And great campsite, actually. Phil, the main guy, honestly, big shout out to him. He was one of the friendliest campsite owners I think I've ever met. He was excellent. And the views out over the Pentland Firth are just stunning. Just from the campsite, just from the back of the van, we just had a beautiful sight. Beautiful, beautiful view. Then we woke up yesterday morning, and first thing on the roster after breakfast, obviously, was to go and book onto the John O'Groats Wildlife Cruise Ferry Tour. So we went and booked our tickets, then we went and had a quick look at Duncansby Head Lighthouse, and then went back for the cruise. And with any wildlife cruise, you're never guaranteed you're going to see much. And we did. We saw puffins and we saw skuas and we saw seals. We didn't see any orcas. We have been genuinely, like, spoiler alert, we haven't seen any orcas, but we saw lots of wildlife. I'm not sure the guy who was doing the tour, I'm not sure his heart was in it. There was a point halfway through the tour he went, yeah, we don't really have time for this. We're going to head back along the south coast of Stroma and we'll see some seals and puffins or whatever. Which is not the sort of thing that fills you with hope that you're going to see the most amazing wildlife. But Orca Watch is on at the moment, and so apparently orcas have been seen in the area. So this is the time of year to come up for orcas. And then we went back to the ferry terminal, had a nice long drive along some very straight roads to get Isla to have a nap. Drove along to Thurso, stopped in briefly at the delightfully small and charming Wolfburn distillery. That was, yeah, lovely little place actually. And then headed back to Dunnet Head Lighthouse, which is where the RSPB reserve is, and saw more puffins and all sorts of wonderful cliff birds. Absolutely beautiful place. And then back to the campsite. And then this morning we had to get up very early to get the ferry across to Orkney. So basically that brings you up to where we are now. So we're now going to have 2 days on Orkney. There are only 2 distilleries on Orkney, Scapa and Highland Park. And guess where we're going tomorrow? But for today, we're just sat on a lovely beach by the Churchill Barrier, enjoying Isla, enjoying the beach and digging. So, gonna leave you there for now. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.